Hello everybody, Thomas Fleming here. Got a bit of the river behind me. I'm in a slightly different spot. I'm recording this on a weekend and so it's busy. People may walk up here. Right now I'm by myself. The wind is blowing. We had a storm front go through and it's kind of still going through. That's why the wind's blowing. We had rain last night, but not a hard rain, just all night into the morning, so I didn't get out and get my early shoot. So anyhow, today I want to impress upon you the importance of getting the word out. As I always say, we don't know the day or the hour, but that's not talking about the rapture, that's talking about the second coming. We still don't know the day or the hour. We know it's coming. Jesus promised us that it is. We have a number of references to a rapture, but we don't know when. Now, if I'm pre-trib, definitely. The worst case scenario would be pre-wrath, but there's still bad stuff coming. And if I were God, I would not subject Jesus, I wouldn't subject my bride to what's coming. And that's what we're going to talk about today. There is some bad stuff coming. Whatever you see in the world now, as bad as the world is now, on a scale of 1 to 1,000, this might make a 1. 1,000 being the worst. It is not bad. I mean, they had it rougher in the first century. We are in the end times. We've already seen the Revelation 12 sign. So we know we're in the book of Revelation. Where? We're in the wars and rumors of wars and earthquakes in diverse places and pestilences and all that kind of stuff. That's where we're at. We're in the birth pains. And they are getting slowly worse. But it's not here yet. Big gust of wind. It's even blowing my cable around. I hope this isn't too noisy, but I am wearing my mic. I'll try not to say anything important during a gust. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to be in the book of Revelation, because that's where the bad stuff is all summarized. Revelation is basically a summary of the rest of the Bible, Old and New Testament, of the things to come, summary of the prophecy. Now, we're not going to talk about, John seeing into heaven and seeing Jesus and what he looks like. If you want to see that, go start in the beginning. I'm going to jump into chapter 6 where the seals are. And again, I'm going to reinforce this again. The chapters covering the seals, we start in 6 and go all the way to the first verse of chapter 8. Doesn't belong there, but they didn't mark it right. The book was not written with chapters and verses. The chapters were added first, then the verses were added. But all the seal information is a vision by John of the seals. And they go from the beginning, at some point when it starts, all the way to the end. If you look in chapter 7, 8, the first verse is the last seal. But if you go to 7, at the end of 7, it talks about who are all these people here. Well, they're the people that made it through the tribulation. Okay? Tribulation is at the end. Okay, so we're looking at the seals. I'm just going to browse over a couple of them real quick, and then we're going to look at some of the bad stuff coming. This stuff is really earth-shaking. I'm not worried about it because we're not going to see it. But this is why we got to tell the world. They think they're on a nice, fast, happy train and they're just going to be drinking until they can't know what time it is. And it's going over a cliff at the end and they have no idea. Okay, Chapter 6, verse 1, I'm not going to read it all. But basically, I saw the Lamb open one of the seals. He's got a scroll with 7 seals on it. That scroll is the deed to the earth. Satan may think he's king down here, but he's really not. God tells him what he can and cannot do, so he's not really a king. Okay. The Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard one of the 4 living creatures saying with a voice like thunder, "Come and see." This part repeats itself, each seal. And I looked, and behold, a white horse, and who sat on it had a bow, and a crown was given to him, and he went out conquering and to conquer. He only has a bow. That's not a good weapon. I mean, it may have been okay back then, but the Romans had armors and spears and catapults and everything. A bow is kind of the entry-level weapon. And it doesn't say he uses it, he just says he conquers. How does he conquer? Because he's the Antichrist, and he's smooth-talking. He carries the power of Satan with him, and Satan is smooth-talking. He can be mean and nasty, but he's a liar, remember? Okay. So that's the first seal, is the Antichrist. So that tells us right there we won't be here. Because we got to get out of the way for him to be able to do his thing. We're the restrainer. Okay, the second seal in verse 3. Another horse, a fiery red, went out, and it was granted to the one who sat on it to take peace from the earth. Well, we're almost there, but it's not the whole earth right now. It's just centralized. And because we're not into the fullness of it yet, it's going to start off on the whole world, and then it's going to narrow down to Israel. The third seal was a black horse. He sat on it, had a pair of scales in his hand, and you've heard this before. A quart of wheat for a denarius, a week's wage essentially, or a day's wage, excuse me, and 3 quarts of barley for a denarius. So it costs you a day's working to be able to buy food for that day. Your pantries are going to be empty. Okay, the fourth seal. Now it starts to get tough. Notice that they get gradually worse. And the reason they get gradually worse is because God is trying to say, wake up, pay attention. Do I have your attention yet? Nope. Okay, open another seal. Keep going until we get their attention. And when he opened the fourth seal, got a pale horse, and him was sat on it was death, and Hades followed him. The power was given him over 1/4 of the earth to kill with the sword and hunger, with death and by beasts of the earth. A lot of different ways to kill 1/4 of the earth. We're 8 billion people. That's a lot. And that's only one of the large groups that are going to die. Again, they're going to get worse. The fifth seal. You open the fifth seal, and we have the martyrs in heaven, and they're crying out, "How long till you judge and avenge our blood?" There are martyrs there. Who's a martyr? A Christian. If we don't get people out of here, they're going to be martyrs. The rest of the world's getting all the other stuff, but Christians will die for Jesus. If you don't take the mark, you die. You speak out against the beast, you die. They've always done this. Now we have the sixth seal. Now this is the big one. This is where we get all the stuff, and we see it in Matthew. We can line it up. There was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth and hair, and the moon became like blood, and the stars fell to the earth as a fig tree drops its late figs. This is a worldwide event. This is big. I'm going to continue on. And the kings of the earth The great men, the rich men, the commanders, the mighty men, every slave and every free man hid themselves in caves and in the rocks of the mountains, and said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us and hide us from the face of him who sits on the throne. Can you believe that? In spite of all that they've heard and learned about Jesus, they're asking for the mountains to fall on them and hide them from God and from Jesus. They're not ready to accept him. That's why all this stuff is going on. Now there will be people, plenty of people that will accept Christ during the tribulation, but this group does not want to accept him at all. And they're basically going to go into the fiery pit with Satan, because that's what that's for. Now I'm just going to read a little bit here, and then we're going to jump over. In verse 7, it talks about the angels holding back the four winds from destroying the earth and doing damage. He says, holding the four winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, on the sea, or on the tree. Then I saw another angel ascending from the east, having a seal of the living God. You got God's seal, you're doing pretty good. And he cried out with a loud voice to the four angels, whom was granted to harm the earth and the sea, saying, do not harm the earth, the sea, or the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our God on their foreheads. You see why Satan tries to copy? And I heard a number of those who were sealed, 144,000. So that's where we get these. These are Jewish, sealed, Messianic Christians, essentially. Messianic Jews. They're going to help spread the word to the rest of their people. And they can't harm them. Okay. I'm going to turn over to Revelation 11. Just showing you how these things are all kind of laid out in here. And I will give power to my two witnesses, 11:3. And they will prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth. So that's the 3.5-year period. These are the two olive trees and the two lampstands standing before God of the earth. And if anyone wants to harm them, fire proceeds from their mouth and devours their enemies. They're going to try to get rid of them because they don't like what they're doing. But they're God's people. God will let the Antichrist deal with them. And then he will resurrect them in front of the world, for the whole world to see. Okay, Revelation 12 is the 12th sign. You know that. Satan gets thrown out of heaven. Revelation 17 now I'm going to jump over to. Do I have it marked? Yep. Okay, where are we? 17. I'm on 17:5. Actually, I'm going to go back to 16. These are the bowls. Now, the order of these seals and trumpets are kind of overlapping. They're happening about the same time, not necessarily right after each other. All the seals happen in order, 1 through 7. All the trumpets happen in order, 1 through 7. And the same thing with the bowls. But where they fit in the timeline, we don't know where the seals and trumpets fit exactly. They start in the beginning and go all the way towards the end. But where do the bowls fit? Well, the bowls are in the second half of the tribulation. And they are the wrath of God. And it's called the Great Tribulation. That's where we get the term from. The first half doesn't really have a term. So the first bowl, what is it? Comes a gust of wind. It's a big gust of wind. You can see the trees over there. Just in case you can't hear me, I'll stop when a big gust of wind like that comes up. Comes another one. You can hear it in the trees blowing. Okay, well, the first bowl, loathful sores. If you loathe something, it's bad. And that's what these sores are going to be. Now, the good news is for the Christians that are still around, came upon the men who had the mark of the beast and those who worshipped his image. So this isn't for Christians. Once again, we're going to get a Passover. Okay, and the second angel poured out his bowl, and the sea became blood. Kind of a repeat of the plagues to a degree. And the third bowl, all the waters. Now let's see, we've got to go back to the other one. I want to read the second one first, of what happens. And it became blood, and as of a dead man, and every living creature in the sea died. Every living creature in the sea died. This isn't a tiny event. And the third angel poured out his bowl on the rivers and springs, and they did the same thing. Okay, we got the fourth bowl. And the fourth angel poured out his bowl on the sun, and the power was given to him to scorch men with fire. And the men were scorched with great heat, and they blasphemed the name of God, who has the power over these plagues. And they did not repent and give him glory. Once again, I mean, it's like, how much can you do to these people? They are so adamant that they're not going to accept Christ. So don't have a lot of pity for these people. They've been giving chance after chance after chance. And they just dig their heels in and say, I don't want to have anything to do with you. The fifth bowl poured out his bowl on the throne of the beast, and his kingdom became full of darkness, and they gnawed their tongues because of pain. They blasphemed God of heaven because of their pains and their sores, and they did not repent of their deeds. These are chances. God's not doing this technically, it's just happening. He could stop it. I got people coming, so I'm going to go ahead and kind of wrap it up here, and then I'm going to do some shooting walking back on the trail. This stuff is big stuff. The sixth bowl is the Euphrates River dries up. Well, it's almost dry now. So it's easy to imagine what that's going to look like. Again, these are little vignettes over time. It talks about 144,000 in different chapters. It talks about the beast in different chapters. They overlap each other. Okay? Now, till we meet in the clouds. Okay. Walking back, I think you might see the tower in the back. It's getting rather breezy, and I don't see any clouds, so I don't think I'm going to get any weather. But it's just a little bit chilly. More so because of the wind. My hair's not long enough to blow around yet, but we're getting there. I got until I think it's the 11th of May to grow it out. Then I'll be set. Now I have to color it, like I said before. For this role I'm doing, I got to color my hair and beard. And then when I come back, he wants me back like this, and I can't do that. So I might have to put a wig on. I might have to shave my beard. The things we do. All right. So it's imperative that we get the message out. We need to save those whose names are in the book of life. Everybody else, you don't know who's going to be saved and who isn't, so you have to talk to everybody. But don't spend a lot of time. If you're making headway, you can commit some time, but if you're not, move on. The apostles were told of this. Spread the gospel locally, and you go to a house and they greet you and bring you in and feed you and give you water. Stay for a while and tell them about the gospel. If they don't, wipe the dust from your feet and move on. We kind of have to do the same thing. But always pray. There may be a reason why they're the way they are, so you shouldn't be doing it without praying anyway. And God will let you see a way in if there is one. We're right on the precipice of a number of wars of which the United States would not survive. Well, not unless they decided to launch some of their nukes. And Israel's going to be in the same boat. They've got nukes too, in the countries that they're going to be lobbing these missiles at, whether it's Lebanon or Syria or even Iran. They don't have nukes yet. And if they do, they don't have many. That may be why they're holding off attacking, because they don't have that as the final ace in the hole. But that's why Israel may choose to be preemptive. I'm not completely convinced that I agree with Amir Safati that the Psalm 83 war has already taken place. There's good arguments for it, but there's also some for it's still coming. We have the Magog war. We're not sure which yet, but there's going to be some damage to Israel. And they've got to be able to have the peace necessary to build their temple so the Antichrist can defile it. So it's over my pay grade to figure this stuff out. I just tell you what's written, and we just have to be ready. All right, that's enough. I've got a long way to walk back. Not unbearable, but it is if you're watching me. Blessings. I'm on one of the hiking trails. It's got these flowers here. Well, I'm in a new spot to record today. I've got a view from that. I thought about climbing up there. I'm at a table, and on this side we have the river. And you can, if you want to, climb down there and sit in the dirt and fish if you want. So I'm going to see if I can get that in the picture for you.